Former Grand Prix rider Katja Poensgen only signed on to ride for the resurrected Indian brand on June 10, but in the following week she has taken two spectacular wins and generated more race-winning publicity than the brand has had in Europe for a century. And just to add flavor to the story, the 39-year-old's nitrous oxide-burning 185 horsepower Indian Scout motorcycle is named Miracle Mike, after a headless chicken. You couldn't make this stuff up. Poensgen is no stranger to two-wheeled success, being the only female to ever qualify to race in the 250cc World Championships and the only female ever to score points in the class. That's the official timesheet from Poensgen's point-scoring effort in the 2001 Italian 250cc Grand Prix above right, with Poensgen on the Dark Dog 250cc Aprilia she campaigned that year at left. In 2004, Poensgen ended her Grand Prix racing career and became a television presenter in Germany. The following year, she gave birth to a daughter, Holly Emma Poensgen. In 2012, she returned to international racing with the German Munch racing team, finishing second in the FIME Power International Championship Race Series. Indeed, Poensgen led the points table for the title at one stage of the season after winning the Hungaroring round in June 2012 above top left. Though it didn't have official world championship status, the series was the most important electric motorcycle racing championship in the world at the time. On June 10, 2017, Indian Motorcycle Company issued a press release announcing that Poensgen would race a new Indian Scout sprint bike at the Asenza Sprint races to be held the following day at the famous Montlhéry Autodrome in France. The bike in question, named Miracle Mike, had been displayed for the first time in Basel, Switzerland on May 13, drawing quite a reaction. European custom motorcycles have evolved into an art form over the last few decades, and custom motorcycle shows, such as the Art Wheels show where the recreated Indian Scout debuted, celebrate this ongoing movement. Built by Nick Heer and Fabian Witzig of the Young Guns Speed Shop in Switzerland, Miracle Mike began life as a standard 1133cc Indian Scout. But with over 700 hours of labor lavished on it, it was far from standard by the time it reached Basel. Miracle Mike may be perfectly honed for sprint racing, but it equally comes from the art school, something the bike's name and logo pay homage to. The Young Guns are developing a theme of naming their motorcycles after birds, with one previous performance motorcycle designed for top speed runs at Bonneville named Ferdinand the Sparrow, while Miracle Mike was named after a famous headless chicken that had its head removed with an axe but miraculously lived on for another 18 months. That's the original Miracle Mike above. Nick Heer says the name was chosen because we can't think about anything that's scarier to compete against than something you can chop the head off and it is still going strong. A standard Indian Scout weighs 245 kilograms 540 pounds, but as the covers were ripped off for the maiden exhibition in Basel, Miracle Mike weighed in at 197 kilograms 434 pounds, indicating the extent to which every single component had been examined and its performance optimized. The most significant aspect of the build from a horsepower viewpoint was the fitting of a nitrous oxide injection system from Wizards of NOS. This was one of the key factors in increasing the stock engine's 100 horsepower to Miracle Mike's 185 horsepower at the rear wheel. In the final week, before the competition debut, Indian provided access to the engineers who had developed the race-winning Scout FTR 750 engine, and 2 days were spent sorting the power delivery on a dyno at Polaris Swiss Auto. For those who aren't aware of the Indian heritage, the company's first incarnation began in 1901 and ended in 1953, and in the years prior to WW1 and again between the wars, Indian was the largest manufacturer of motorcycles in the world. Several attempts were made to resurrect the brand, each of them failing to gather momentum, until recreational vehicle giant Polaris Industries purchased the rights in 2011 and finally gave the coveted marque the financial backing it needed for a sustainable revival to match the glory days. Followers of our auction coverage will be aware that Indian is one of the most valuable motorcycle marques on the auction block, along with Brau Superior, Vincent, Crocker, Harley-Davidson and BMW. That's also how Miracle Mike found its way onto the Polaris Swiss Auto dyno. Young Guns enrolled several major performance companies in creating Miracle Mike, with Öhlins Racing providing the suspension, Akrapovic the custom muffler, Metzeler Tires and Brembo offering the best stoppers available. The front caliper is the Brembo GP4RX, which represents a significant development in brake caliper design, thanks to the use of software derived from Brembo's racing experience, explains Brembo's Roberto Pellegrini. This new solution has enabled Brembo to optimize the shape of the brake caliper machining and marks a radical change from standard racing caliper shapes. The braking surface of the Supersport brake disc is drilled and connected with 10 floating aluminum bushes, the same used in top racing machines. Katja looks on as Miracle Mike is prepared for the first race at Autodrome Linnésmond Larry Credit Voyopix. The first race Asenza sprint races at Café Racer Festival following the June 10 announcement that Katja Poensgen would race Miracle Mike. The next day saw the bike's competition debut at the Asenza sprint races held at Autodrome Linnésmond Larry as part of the popular Café Racer Festival. Poensgen had not seen the bike prior to entering the pits at the famous French proving ground, and admitted after the event that she wasn't sure what to expect. Katja prepares for the lights to go out. Credit Katja. You can see all the very spectacular custom builds that competed in detail at the official Asenza site, where you can also vote for the best looking motorcycle. The build quality on all these bikes is off the charts. At the time of writing, a Valvoline BMW R9 had held a narrow lead, but if you are into custom motorcycles, you'll love all the contenders. The second race, Punk's Peak. Less than a week after her success at the Asenza sprint races, Poensgen again turned out on Miracle Mike at the Punk's Peak races that are part of the Growing Wheels and Waves Festival in Biarritz, France. Billed as a festival of motorcycling, music, surfing and skateboarding, the 9th running of the festival has seen it grow from humble beginnings in 2009 to attracting around 15,000 people this year, with support from most of the major motorcycle manufacturers. One of the highlights of the weekend festival is the Punk's Peak sprints held on a closed-road course across the top of Mount Jaisbickel near San Sebastian. From Katja Poensgen's Facebook page, the hill climb at Punk's Peak had a full-throttle kink with real and protected metal armco on the outside, which she took in spectacular style. Said Young Guns Fabian Witzig after the event, "It feels amazing. The best thing for me was to see Katja today take that corner at full throttle. It really was an amazing sight." We agree. They had to fix a hole she ground in the exhaust between runs. Credit Stefan Hill. In a similar format to the Asenza sprint races saw Poensgen win her first 3 runs against other competitors, to find herself pitched against one of the competitors she hadn't faced at Asenza in the final, the BMW R9T Valvoline Special produced by Workhorse Speedy Shop. In a close-run event, Miracle Mike crossed the line first, and once more the Indian name was making headlines in newspapers across Europe, just as it has done in winning the senior T2 race at the 1911 Isle of Man. At that time, the Isle of Man was the world's most important race, and to put things in perspective, neither the Asenza sprint races or the Punk's Peak races are of any great importance in the grand scheme of motorcycle competition. Both races were very casual affairs, but with the evolution of motorcycling into more feel-good than go-fast at the umbrella events that staged them, those wins may indeed sell more motorcycles, and Katja Poensgen may become better known and more popular as the 39-year-old mum who can ride the wheels off a motorcycle, than she did as the Grand Prix racer with supermodel looks. View Gallery 34 images.